In the pristine streets of a gated suburban enclave, where HOA rules governed every inch of curb and gate, Stanley, a retired military general, returned to find his driveway barricaded by Karen's gleaming Lamborghini. Her entitlement had crossed a line, her actions hinting at a deeper prejudice that simmered beneath the neighborhood's polished facade. Drawing on his decades of strategic command, Stanley prepared a response that would crush more than just metal, a vintage armored tank rolling over her luxury with deliberate force. As tension thickened, the community held its breath, witnessing a clash that would unveil the racial biases, turning a simple driveway into a battleground. Stanley's life had been forged in the crucible of military service, a man in his mid-60s who ascended to general through unwavering determination. Retirement led him to Oak Ridge Estates, an upscale suburban HOA community where he housed his restored armored tank, a memento of his past, in a spacious garage. The neighborhood radiated order, uniform lawns, wrought iron gates, and an HOA board enforcing conformity with unyielding rigor. Stanley adhered diligently, his khaki shirt and pants reflecting his disciplined nature. Yet he sensed unease, neighbors' sidelong glances and hushed murmurs following his every move. Karen emerged as the HOA's unofficial enforcer, her Lamborghini a bold statement of her inherited wealth and unchecked privilege. Her pink jacket marked her presence, a flash of color amid her sharp critiques, often targeting Stanley over his tank's visibility during inspections. Her resentment, rooted in a bias that viewed his success as out of place, grew quietly. Unaware at first, Stanley settled into his routine, polishing metals, tending his garden, unwittingly setting the stage for a conflict where her car would become a tool to challenge his right to belong. The tension began with Karen's Lamborghini inching closer to Stanley's gate during her patrols. One afternoon, returning from a veterans meeting, he found it fully blocking his driveway, her figure lingering nearby under the pretense of inspecting a neighbor's fence. The obstruction wasn't random, it was a calculated move, reflecting her belief that Stanley didn't fit the community's mold. He navigated around it initially, but the pattern persisted, her car trapping him inside or forcing street parking, a privilege she wielded unchecked while his tank faced constant scrutiny. Frustration swelled as Stanley recalled the barriers he'd overcome, delayed promotions, hard-earned respect amid prejudice. Now, in retirement, Karen's actions mirrored those struggles, her blockade symbolizing a denial of his equality. He documented each incident, his steady hands photographing her car's plates, but the HOA brushed it off with vague parking variances, favoring her. Whispers among residents hinted at her past, complaints against diverse neighbors for trivial issues, her presence a symbol of authority. Stanley, leaning on his general's instincts, devised a retaliation, inspecting his tank with a mind honed for strategy. Weeks passed, and Karen's escalation peaked during a storm, jamming the gate and stranding Stanley's car. The emotional weight grew, a stark reminder of how racial bias could invade daily life, transforming a driveway into a site of exclusion. Neighbors split. Some empathized with Stanley, others defended Karen's rights. The air crackled with tension as he fueled the tank, his khaki attire streaked with grease, anticipating the next move in this brewing showdown. The suburb's harmonious veneer fractured, the stakes climbing with each rev of her engine. The decisive evening arrived under a heavy, rain-laden sky. Stanley, expecting Karen's routine, waited in his garage, his mid-60s silhouette composed in his khaki shirt and pants. Her Lamborghini roared up, jamming the gate with calculated intent, her pink jacket catching the light as she stepped out to survey her work. This time, Stanley ignited the tank's engine, its deep rumble shaking the cul-de-sac like a war cry. The armored beast advanced, treads biting into the pavement, aimed at the obstructing car. Karen stood frozen, her expression shifting from smugness to dread as the tank closed in. Stanley guided it with battlefield precision, rolling over the Lamborghini's hood. Metal groaned and shattered, glass exploding as the luxury car collapsed under the tank's weight, sparks erupting from the crushed frame. Neighbors spilled onto their lawns, phones raised, capturing the dramatic collapse of Karen's symbol of privilege. The act was precise. No harm, just a resounding dismantling of her barrier. Stanley stopped the tank, his gaze steady, the flattened car a testament to his refusal to yield. The climax erupted, laying bare the racial entitlement fueling her actions in a moment of raw justice. The aftermath left the Lamborghini a twisted wreck, towed away amid flashing police lights. Karen withdrew, her pink jacket absent, her influence fading as residents voiced outrage. Stanley faced no repercussions, his military record and evidence of repeated blockades framing his response as self-defense. The HOA revised parking policies, enforcing fairness, while his tank stood as a neighborhood emblem of resilience. The event sparked dialogue on privilege and bias, with some neighbors joining diversity initiatives, others confronting their own assumptions. Stanley hosted veterans gatherings, his mid-60s presence a quiet defiance. Drawn from real driveway disputes tinged with racial tension, this story reveals how everyday slights can ignite profound change. What if one stand could break barriers beyond the gate? Share your story below. Let's pave the way for justice together.